Hello friends, welcome back to a new episode of Noobs in Disguise. My name is Harstem, and as always, today I'm joined by LAMBO. We're gonna be looking over at a TERRAN versus Protoss game. We don't know which league it is from. All we know is that this is a Noob in Disguise. What's up, LAMBO?
What's up?
You like the new intro?
I do like the intro. That was very good. First try as well, which I'm very impressed with.
You nailed it. Improvisation. This guy's also nailing his build order. Both of them are nailing their build order. Refineries being taken, no minerals being floated, assimilators going down at actual timings as well. This is looking fantastic, no?
Yeah, I was about to say might be a pro in disguise this week, until the Terran sent out an SV by accident. A second one then realized he didn't want to send it, but so far it's looking quite good from both sides.
Yeah, there was an instant pull into the refinery as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some actual gas mining, like no shenanigans, you know, just a single worker at gas. It's creating a semi wall. Did forget the this is really quick. He had good worker micro. Do you see that? 123, the cybercore went down. That is fast even for pros.
Yeah, no, he's been playing well so far. He checked for the gas, also clean micro with the probe, good lines. He's going, also is watching it so he doesn't lose it, delays the CC a little bit. The Terran also microing his SCVs properly.
This is so by far the highest level we've seen, no?
Yeah, I can't remember it. Like this so far. It could be Grandmaster. You know, I don't think we've had a Grandmaster so far.
Yeah, this is very good. The other day I saw Hero get a cybernetic score at 1 minute and 29 seconds. This guy was 6 seconds faster than Hero. Can you believe it?
With the core first?
Yeah. Yeah, with the core.
It was an altitude though, no? It has to be.
No. I'm pretty sure he did like a late scout as well after a simulator. It really hurt me to watch.
Oh no.
This is our best. You guys never feel that. You have like Cyril and Rainer, but sometimes with Hero it does feel, you know, it doesn't feel quite right. Oh, triple CC opener as well. This is a dream set. This might be Beyond actually.
Beyond sending in a replace. I guess it will be his opponent in this case, but yeah, it's a good opener so far. I know you like to do this sometimes as well with your off race, so I'm
yeah, but my build is actually better than this.
Okay.
And I'll explain to you what I do. So I have two variations. I either open up with a Marine first if I get scouted, or I open up with a Reactor first if I don't get scouted. And then what I do is, rather than, you know, like this guy build a Reaper first, which is really bad for your Marine production, obviously. So what I do is I build the Reaper as the 4th or the 5th unit. So they often move out with 2 units, and then you backstab them with the Reaper, as well as getting a free scout, and then moving out of the way, so you can still scout a 3rd base as well. Like it really is perfect. The only thing that you struggle with as a Terran when you play triple CC is scouting the 3rd base of Protoss. You don't know if it's going to be 4-gate Blink, 2-gate Blink, Stargate, Phoenix Robo, but with the delayed Reaper, you get absolutely full information every single time because no one expects it. It's a brilliant little innovation that I made myself. Well, I partially stole it from Hero Marine, who built 2 Reapers, but the 2nd Reaper doesn't add anything. It doesn't give you more scouting, you know? 2nd Reaper doesn't give double the scouting, it just gives the same amount of scouting. You see everything with 1, you see everything with 2. And thus it's pointless. I save 50 gas and have more Marines. Eat that, Hero Marine.
Eat that, Hero Marine. I mean, I've seen Gabe win games with his 2 Reapers, to be entirely fair. But yeah, this guy made the Reaper first, which also means the CC starts a little bit earlier and the extra Rex, because you don't produce as much stuff from the barracks early on. The Protoss actually moving out with his gateway units, which is also cool because he realized there was no bunker. So this could be quite annoying as well for the Terran, who doesn't have concussive yet.
Yeah. And I'm glad he doesn't have concussive yet. If he would have started with concussive, then it definitely would have meant some serious brain damage as a young man. So it's good to see. He's delaying the factory by quite a bit, though, I have to admit. It's taking 3 gases at the same time, which is not super uncommon with this type of build order. Terrans do like doing it. Bunker is going to finish, so no real issues here. These were safety Marauders, and they provided some safety, but they also really delayed factory, as well as probably the +1 on the eBay by quite a bit.
Yeah, the Protoss had a small supply block, but other than that, his macro has been looking quite clean. Similar to the Terran, to be honest. And yeah, the Terran is now finally getting his factory, Getting up very early extra Rex as well. 5 Rex, quite fast. Lacking on the SV production a little bit, but I think that's excusable. And I think now the Protoss just needs to worry about the first move out of the Terran. But he should be fine overall. Protoss is not too greedy, I would say. He didn't even start a Forge yet, already starting an Immortal.
No, I actually think the Protoss made a small misread. I think he thought it was 3 Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it did, like, a lot of the things here make sense against 3 Rex, right? The double batteries, like, even this Immortal is kind of odd, honestly, against what we're seeing right now. So in the ideal world for Protoss, you just rush out Colossi and never stop chrono boosting workers, right? You have Blink Stalkers across the map. You can maybe snipe an SCV here or there and delay a push out, and that's going to be it. And then once your opponent attacks, you have 2 Colossi, 65 workers, +1 on the way, and charge halfway done as well. Like, it's a really good situation. But if you don't quite get that, oh, interesting scan.
He stimmed the Marauders, which, by the way, I've told Piotr that he needs to stop stimming his Marauders, Piotr's Spirit, whenever he chases Mutas, because Marauders actually lose more HP than Marines. With
and also Marauders don't shoot up. I think that's
exactly. So that's just medevac energy gone for free. So yeah, he should definitely stop doing that. So it wasn't optimal here as well from Terran, who's now also hitting a supply block. The Protoss so far has been looking pretty good, just playing it overly safe, as you said. Definitely not necessary, but it can be hard to read these builds sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely can be. And I like what he's doing now. You know, perhaps slightly too high in the work count. Has not saturated his 5th gas yet. So he's, you know, the control here, the macro is not perfect at home. Like, we're definitely lacking some things. So 6th gas, the saturation. We also built slightly too many workers, I think, for the amount of bases we're currently on. But he's done a phenomenal job with those Stalkers at the same time. And oh, that's an interesting scan. I always thought that Terrans just looked for the observer rather than randomly scanning.
I guess sometimes. Sometimes they just guess. It can be common when they load up their units. But yeah, this one was a bit off.
Yeah, just a little bit. Saw another scan, or I heard another scan. It's going to be at the third base. Yeah, that's nice. Spots that the units are there and moves in towards the main. It's actually going to be capable here of either clearing forges or going for a pylon, maybe a robo bay. Don't mind the call on the forges here. Protoss without upgrades is not a great Protoss. Darkstrain's also going to be spotted here. We get the pickup. Boost was a little bit late there. One medevac will end up dying because of that. The supply is looking real good for the Protoss player, who's adding 2 more robotics facilities as well. So he's definitely enlightened when it comes to robo production.
Yeah, taking a page from my off race. I mean, the Terran honestly should have moved out at the same time with the rest of his units. He could have cancelled the 4th base for free. I wouldn't have minded him even just trying to move into the 3rd. Obviously, we do see that the Protoss didn't overreact. He left all of his robo units there, but I think it's generally good to move out with the rest of your army as well while you're doing the double drop. I feel like just a double drop alone usually won't do that much, even though that one did okay, since it delayed the upgrades by quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit lame. It's the old school Terran multitasking. Just because you have a unit that isn't the main army doesn't mean it's multitasking. It's still just a single thing that you're controlling at the same time. They often trick themselves with this as well, you know, doing so many things at the same time. What they mean is they're boosting drops into your main while continuously hitting the barracks hotkey and pressing A and D. Like, it's not really quite what we mean with multitasking, but I appreciate it. Something that I don't mind, actually what I would have liked as well, is getting an armory mine drop. I think these almost always work, especially at the level that we're seeing here. I feel like it's always good to do. Almost like I feel like this is like close to GM or GM, you know? These things always work like a charm. It's difficult to clean up. As now a robo is going to get sniped. Good control still on those Marauders, at least trying to pull it back. Snipes and runs away. Weird scan though. Like, what is this? The scan afterthought? It's like, oh, let me see what he had. It's like not like you're going to move back. You saw 4 Zealots in a Colossi. That was going to be enough no matter what. We
actually saw 4 Colossus, which is pretty good because you can basically you can't really overmake Vikings against the amount of Colossus that we're seeing here. So that's kind of nice. I'm a little bit afraid for the Protoss, honestly, because this army against a lot of Vikings doesn't look that good. And he's behind in upgrades right now. He's 2 upgrades down, and once this +1 finishes, he's still going to be 2 upgrades down because the +2 of the Terran will finish. So I'm not sure about moving out. I also can't believe the single drop got damaged done again. The Terran just moving out with the Vikings, the Protoss not looking is actually hilarious. Oh no.
This we're not sending our best warrior so far here. 2 Colossi, 2.5 have been taken down by the Viking move out. I think 1.5 Vikings also fell though, so it was a trade at least, but not a very good trade. Disruptors are out. We have the Shadow Stride as well coming in as, well, +2 attack starts pretty much immediately. And the Terran is really slow at taking his fort base. I think that is one point of criticism that would be fair to throw at him, no? Like this fort base is insanely late for how insane the eco was from the very start.
Yeah. Oh, he's going for the Serran now from both the top and the bottom. He even has Vikings on both sides, and I think that overall looks good for him. The EMPs were a little bit late, and the Warp In is not gonna go through, which actually was very important for the Terran, because he was running out of units there. The Stalkers blink towards the top, which I like. The Terran even evacuating out some units. So pretty nicely done by the Terran, to be honest, who is now taking a lead in terms of army. But I think it's not the absolute worst thing, because the Protoss is going into Stalker Disruptor. And also into Blink DTs, which is always good, I think, in general. And now the Terran is just left with a lot of Vikings that are not that useful. I mean, you can use them in the main army or as a run by. They're kind of good against probes.
They're very solid against probes. I've seen them fight one-on-one. The probes don't stand a chance.
I'm trying to think right now with the amount of letters of the name this could be.
Yeah, I was thinking as well. I was like, does Baby Marine have the same amount of letters as this? That's what I was thinking of. I'm not entirely sure.
It could. Baby Marine's off-race, maybe the Protoss? It is the same amount of letters.
Exciting. All right. Well, Ship Up is level 2 on the way. We have Future. It's definitely a good game, though. It's a good game. Their money is consistently low as well, which is pretty exciting. Fusion Core is on the way. Like, the transitions make sense. I still feel like both players have expanded a little bit slower than I think the eco pace of this game would usually indicate. So that has been odd, perhaps, but everything else has been nice. Like, I love this Stalker move. I love these Disruptors here as well. There's not enough vision on the opponent's army, but that's about to come in as well.
Okay, the Terran's coming back now. Let's see how good the micro really is from the Terran. Didn't really dodge that shot. He's sieging up the Liberators, also killing the War Prison, which is quite nice. But I think the Protoss can just poke forever. That was a ballsy blink forward. Only 2 Disruptors are left to shoot. They both hit exactly the same targets. So I think the Protoss once again is going to get cleared up if he stays around here. It's just Stalkers against Marauders.
Yeah, this always feels good for a while as a Protoss, but eventually there's like 6 Marauders and 5 Medevac left over, and unless you hit a big Disruptor shot, you're just going to lose absolutely everything. Now, this is the first time that both players have truly kind of messed up their macro as well during this fight. Neither player really produced anything for about 1.5 minutes. Or for however long the fight lasted, and they have a bit of cash to show for that. 14 Stalkers, man, that's a lot of gateways. He does not mess around with the production.
Yeah, going all in on missing your warpins, so you don't need to worry about that. 2 warpins, and your money will be spent. In general, the Terran's upgrades are really sick. I mean, he went also double upgrades before 4th base, so that's why he was so late. He even went double Starport, Ghost, and double upgrades before 4th. So he went very tech heavy, and now I guess it paid off. His army is quite good. But at the same time, this is kind of where you want to be at as well as the Protoss in the Disruptor DT late game. I think the probe count could be a little bit higher. But in general, once there's like 14 DTs, if this guy waits for all of his gateways to warp in a DT once, and then uses that as a run-by, I think it's going to be really, really rough for the turn.
You see what I'm seeing on the production tab? A Templar Archives.
Yeah, that's just for the base trade later when he's floating gas.
Probably. I think, has Creator ever played on Europe as of late? Because the Creator is the only player that I really know that goes into like late game storm. This was a terrible fight, by the way. Liberators being sniped. Well, it started as a terrible fight for the Protoss, ended up as a pretty bad fight for the Terran. A lot of Disruptor did end up going down. How many? Oh, this is 12 DTs. I'm surprised it's not going to the planetary side. Instead goes to the orbital side. So perhaps just going for reinforcements. Maybe a couple of SCVs. Colossi continuing to poke. There's not a whole lot of Vikings. Disruptor shots are coming out. I have noticed that a lot of these Purification Novas have not actually been controlled whatsoever. Just been, targeted at a location.
Yeah, he also shot his own Colossus during that fight. So not the perfect micro by the Protoss, but the DTs I think this is kind of like a winning... This is even when I off-race, I think this is a winning condition. If you get up 8 Disruptors as your main army, and then you have like 16 ETs on the other side, it becomes so difficult. You need to be so good as Terran to play against that. So I like what the Protoss is doing here, just trying to occupy the Terran on one side, then going in with the ETs on the other. I feel like he's not microing this, considering he's also not using the DTs at the same time. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing, but not the perfect micro from the Protoss.
You right-click the planetary.
Yeah.
I don't think that is the perfect thing to do. All of the Stalkers and Colossi are just shooting a planetary. 7 SCVs repairing, DTs idling at the same time. Now, DTs did try to do something for now, but yeah, this wasn't the greatest 45 seconds for our Protoss player. Has still complete vision with that observer, which makes life so much easier, right? If you know where your opponent's army is, you can easily zone it out with disruptors. You can shoot when you need to, not when you need information. So once again, we get a nice little right click here on the planetary. So our Protoss player does end up oh my god, that's that's a fine blink forward actually. There was almost nothing behind.
Going in now with the Disruptor Nova. Taking out this planetary, late repair from the Terran. I'm a little bit surprised, honestly, that the Protoss keeps remaking Colossus, because I don't feel like that's the move whatsoever. I would much rather see more Disruptors, especially since there's still Vikings left over always. And yeah, that was an awful fight for the Protoss, no way around it.
Yeah, that was garbage. 10 Colossi have gone down, by the way, so far in this game. And 13, I think it was 13 Disruptors? Yeah, 13 Disruptors. So just give you a little bit of an update on that. Now, DTs are being stopped in the natural. I think a really good trick is to not always enter through the exact same sides. People tend to become kind of ready for it. So you get a blink forward here on the planet. I can't believe he's trying this again. This is legit the 4th time you right-click the planetary.
You know what's so funny about it? The Terran was prepared with the SCVs the entire time. His 4th and 5th base weren't even mining. He just had the SCV selected on the planetary. So yeah, usually what you do on high level is you swap the sides, basically. You go with your Stalker Disruptor army to the other side, since it's only defended by Liberators and turrets right now, and then you can try to take out a planetary with the DTs. Random Widowmine actually gets 2 Stalkers, which is good as well. I feel like he should warp in DTs one more time, so he gets more. 8 DTs is not quite as scary as 14 DTs.
Yeah. But then again, 14 isn't quite as scary as 22. That's a true number of DTs, my friend. If you haven't fought 22 DTs yet, you haven't really lived. So these Disruptors are now trying to make... hold that thought. These DTs almost end up falling. Yeah, the Stalker Disruptor is going to make a rotation here. When I say Stalker Disruptor, I mean just pure Stalker. He said, enough with right-clicking planetaries. Let me try an orbital. Actually, does get some decent shots off here. Gets a Viking, gets a Ghost. Took out a Liberator in the net as well. Disruptor still being rallied into that mine. Already has 2 Stalker kills. And now gets an assist on 2 of these Disruptors. 2 will end up falling again. Total is still at 6 though when it comes to the Disruptor count. 14 more Zealots get warped in. Not so sure if this is a fight that the Protoss can win unless he hits literally all of his Disruptor shots. Which I guess he kind of does, but it's still not really enough. DT's helping out, EMP will hit. And the Protoss needs to piss off right away.
The Protoss is just taking terrible trades. I feel like the Protoss is playing quite well, theoretically, and then he's really bad at judging fights. Like, he always stands there with the Stalkers fighting the bio forces a little bit too long, and sometimes also just taking poor engagements. He still has a big army, so I don't think he's about to die. He's once again making Colossus, which I really don't think they're that good in late game overall, but...
Yeah, they're terrible. They don't really deal damage against any of their units, and they die very fast. It's an awful unit. This is a hard angle to engage in as well if you only have 3 Disruptors. Purification Novas need to be very good. So far they're good, but I don't think they were very good quite yet. There's enough Terran here to probably get a kill on this base if we could use microing for at least a little bit. Terran doesn't quite believe, so pulls back a tiny tad. Do you see another warp in somewhere? Oh, there's a lot of Zealots and Stalkers on the far right side for some reason. Rather than getting them somewhere else, Purification Nova does hit in a big way. Takes out the majority of the Terran army. And I think Protoss can clear this, actually.
Does still blink into plus the Liberator, so this is quite a lot of Stalkers. Also focus fire from the Terran against the Stalkers. And he gets away. The Terran also didn't really macro during this time, so he has a lot of bank. Whereas the Protoss just has a medium-sized bank himself. So I still think it's good for the Terran, but the Terran needs some new CCs. I think he can also lift, yeah, his main base or his natural. Yeah, man, I'm starting to get the suspicion. Like, I have a I have a game with my own off-race that looked very much like this. And I feel like that TERRAN name could just be a barcode.
That would be very sick, actually. That would be very sick. Oh, but then you still need to get the MMR right.
Yeah. I still wouldn't know, is the thing. I'm trying to figure out if this was me. I had a game very similar to this. I don't think it was me, to be honest, from this now, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right, TTs are gonna get caught over here as we see LAMBO without too many ghosts at the moment. 4 medevacs are also fairly low. Surely you would repair those, right? Are you a medevac repairer?
I'm a medevac repairer. I also don't think I ever siege the Liberator on my ramp, so I don't think it's me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's different types of people. You have these people flying around. The other day, I think it was Clem who loaded up an 8 marine drop in a medevac with 7 HP.
Yeah.
Boosted it across the map. I was like, all right. Yeah, it's a different type of person. It really is. You need some balls that I don't quite possess. As there's simply not enough medevacs right now in this army, I think. There's only 4, and the army is practically maxed out. Oh, here come DTs. It's not enough DTs, unless the Terran completely falls asleep, but Terran was actually fast here with that SCV pool. DTs are going to end up dying, and the planetary once again survives. This planetary has baited a lot of different armies over the years.
Yeah, I think 11 kills doesn't even do it justice. Also, this can't be me because I would never just double drop without doing anything. I just realized. Because I don't believe in double drops. Like, if I just go in with 1 drop. He also later on went back in with the same drop. I trust my opponents to be good enough to deal with that, so...
Yeah, it's kind of disrespect to play it. I also feel like you wouldn't stop mining for so long with your SCP. So, okay, we at least can get that out of the world. It's not you, but...
What if it's you? Your turn.
No. I never play games like this. I don't think so, at least. The cowboy?
We play so much off-race, it's hard. It's hard to remember all the games. As the Terran is sieging the Protoss now. I still prefer the Terran army much over the Protoss army, who still is adding Colossus, which I really hate. Also now getting extra Stargates. I do kind of like the addition of Immortals, but maybe he doesn't have the Disruptor count quite yet to do that. Picks off some of the Liberators, but loses all of his Colossus once again.
That's good, though. It's going to increase his army value, or the army quality at least. If he ever gets to max out again, Purification Novas need to come out here. More and more Immortals indeed joining up. There's still 6 Disruptor, 20 Stalkers, 3 Immortals. 3 more Disruptors are on the way. So we also have a double Stargate and a Fleet Beacon. Zealot Warp in. That is usually a sign of poverty for the Protoss.
Yeah, a sign of poverty, or if he wants to take a direct engagement right now. The Terran army is actually kind of overstimmed. The Disruptor hits all of the Zealots. The Disruptors hit nothing off the Terran. He just killed his own Zealots, and the Immortals are standing in a Liberator fire. The one Liberator was not dealt with. The Terran army still super low on HP, but it's still looking good as long as he fights together with the Liberators. Right now, all Disruptors are on cooldown. I feel like it would be really nice if the Terran just made more medevacs in general. Go back, heal up his army, but he wants to take a trade right here, and I think that is an okay decision as well, although he's running forward some units, losing them for free. Once again, the Zealots get hit by the Disruptors. Not the best
Just before that, there was another one which took out like 3. Like, I don't think I've seen a single Purification Nova hit in the past minute. Like, all of them literally killed Zealots.
I have to say, I do now understand why the Protoss is making Colossus instead of extra Disruptors.
Yeah, perhaps not such a bad call. He starts 2 up again. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, we have the first carrier coming out as well, but one carrier isn't going to win the war, especially not with just a single attack upgrade. Definitely gonna need a little bit more there in order for it to be somewhat impactful. Protoss is definitely struggling. Continues to expand though, as Protoss is going to be up a base still, and has been up a base for a very long time as well. Resources lost is 49,000 on the Protoss side, and 38,000 on the Terran side. The Terran is just more efficient here in this game. And in general as well, of course.
Yeah, he has micro this units much better than the Protoss. He now sees that the Protoss wants to attack the exposed base, which is just an orbital. The Protoss does also know about the fact that this is an orbital, so he could just split off a couple of Stalkers there if he chooses to do so. While still expanding, the Protoss army is looking so small. I'm a little bit afraid of him just getting jumped, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's too many lips almost at this point, no?
Yeah.
It's like 11, you can't really jump. Well, maybe you can.
Well,
Please don't fall asleep. Oh no.
Oh, okay, he's going back. The Terran now is trying to jump the Protoss army, but there should be enough disruptors to disengage. Gets 2 disruptors though, so decent job by the Terran, who also distracted the Protoss with a single drop on the left, which absolutely did nothing. But it enabled him to get this fight, as the Protoss is now the one counterattacking with Stalkers. And now once again, I wish they would just move out once they do the counterattack on one side, because obviously this is not the absolute top level, so people are pretty much always overreacting to an attack on one side. The Terran now that actually he realized, and now he's splitting back the units, which is also a good call.
Yeah, 3 carriers are looking to try and pick something off, as the disruptors are gonna get some big hits here. All 3 Purification Novas hitting the exact same spot. But did clear up a lot of Marauders. They're all at once. Liberators moving forward, trying to deal with those carriers. This is very scary, I actually think, for the Terran.
Yeah, I think not right now, but when the next 3 carriers spawn, it becomes very scary. The Terran also has a huge gas bank, which is not really useful for Terran, since you can't warp in Icons. Because you could theoretically make Ravens to disable the carriers if there's no High Templars. Wouldn't be theoretically the worst call, but you would need starports with tech labs for that.
Yeah. And also, there's a Templar
An
archive.
extra hotkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have EMP as well, I feel like.
That's true. That's true. All right, not a lot of Stalkers here, which means that all these ground units are going to take a beating against these Lips, because there was nothing to really snipe them. Vikings are also taking a beating, though. The carriers are pretty much unleashed. Carriers are on +2, and despite that last little engagement just now not going so great for the Protoss, I still feel like if he ever gets to 7-8 carriers here, that it will be difficult for the Terran to deal with it. Because there's just not that many. Do these Vikings even have any... No carapace upgrades or no armor upgrades. +2 ship weapons. +3 is on the way, though.
Yeah, he has... The one thing he kind of has, though, is nice interceptor clear. He has a lot of Liberators. He can even use the anti-air mode if he chooses to do so. And then... he doesn't have them pre-sieged. At the very least, if half of the Liberators are sieged, I feel like it's hard for the Protoss ground to support the Interceptors, and then with Marines plus Liberators, maybe you can try to fight the Interceptors, which is kind of what we're seeing here, but he's still trying to focus fire with the Vikings. This is a great trade, though, for the Protoss. He's clearing out the entire Terran army, which is running one by one. The last couple of units still trying to reinforce, as the Terran's also losing his natural base to Stalkers and Zealots, and a quick finish there. The Protoss still lost more than the Terran, but the extra resources are all just in the gas bank of the Terran, so...
Yeah, what we shouldn't
Nice
forget here is that the Protoss really was a macro beast during all of this, you know? Taking an extra base and, you know, just macroing. So I definitely do believe
because,
he deserved this.
I mean, what I saw is the Protoss kind of lost fight after fight, traded way worse, then had 9 carriers, with plus 200 upgrades, and A moved a 3-3 Bio-Terran. With
the superior macro, as I said. I mean, the Terran, you can't argue that the Terran had worse fights, though. Like, the resources lost tells the tale here, LAMBO. 58k against 53,000. Surely you can't claim that the Protoss army is better then. Maybe the endgame Protoss army was better, but Terran also wasn't well prepared for that fight. And was getting out multitasked in the natural as well. So, well, it is what it is. All right, I'll go first.
Multitask.
Yes, his natural is under heavy fire.
The guy was A-moving couple Stalkers there.
Okay, but the Terran didn't A-move a couple of Marauders back, so that is technically out multitask. Completely destroyed. I'll go first, LAMBO.
Sure.
What I'm thinking here is that this was a very good game. And I was wondering, would I lose to this Protoss player? I'm afraid that the answer is yes. which means that I'm gonna go with 5,478. Okay,
for reference, what's your Terran MMR?
5,477. Which is not that much better than I am.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. No, I think it was pretty good, but his micro was really awful. I think you're in the right ballpark, so I'm not gonna go too far off. I'm gonna go 5,369 because I think your Terran would have taken him out. Okay. Honestly, your TVP is also your best matchup though. So
that's true. Ooh, all right. I opened the MMR file and it says here that it's Baumesbaum with an MMR of 4,922. I would have destroyed this guy. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was. It looked clean though. Besides the fights, decent early game.
Yeah.
That was quite good.
It is. Well, a minor win for you, minor loss for me. I'm okay with it. That's going to be it for us today here. Episode 12, I think, of Noobs in Disguise. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
That is correct. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, and bye-bye.